we've pretty much just finished off the 93 octane tuning for the PowerMax 1 for the MK8 GTI.
We're putting in the 2260, finally.
Are you going to do it easily, or are you going to take the difficult route and struggle for a couple days?
Struggle for a couple days. Easy, probably. Easy.
All right, well, we'll see. We're going to catch it in 4K.
Don't put the couple days thing in there.
Well, we've pretty much just finished off the 93 octane tuning for the PowerMax 1 for the MK8 GTI. Quite impressive results on pump gas. Made the graph pretty impressive, and I'll pull up the comparison with the stock turbo on pump gas in a second. Should probably run through what we've done to the car for anyone that's interested. It's a very simple recipe on this. It's just a front mount intercooler. I think we use the CTS on this. A Miltech downpipe, catted downpipe. It has a Club Sport muffler and a drop-in filter and a silicone inlet, and obviously the PowerMax 1 2260S, and that's it. It's really not a huge laundry list of things to make, 400 horsepower, which on the Mark 7s was pretty hard. You had to be running ethanol basically on the stock turbo or go to a hybrid to get anywhere close to that. So yeah, really impressive. It's been a learning curve for us, obviously, new platform, working out the way that the turbo speed sensor logic works on these was a little bit of a learning curve. Got a handle on things, did quite a few revisions, literally just finished up on the dyno, so now I'll be going in street testing, making sure everything's good. Once that's done, we'll probably move on to the ethanol for this turbo, and then rinse and repeat, do dyno, street tests, and then take it to the track and see what it around. Pretty good, but yeah, we should bring up the graphs. So this dashed red line is pump gas on the stock turbo. This is torque, horsepower. Obviously there's a huge difference in spool. I mean, I haven't driven it on the street yet, so I don't really know how that's gonna feel, but I mean, we're talking, almost 1,000 RPM. It was like 860 odd RPM difference in spool. But honestly, with the stock turbo, it being so strong down at 2,000 RPM, it would just annihilate the tires, it would just wheel spin. So I think having a little bit more wheel speed and peak power or peak torque coming in at around 3,000 will actually help the car have a bit more of a better street manners. How that translates to how it feels if you're just driving every day, I'm not sure. I'll let you know. And then horsepower differences, we're talking about a 90 horsepower gain on pump gas from a turbo, which is quite impressive. So yeah, you trade off spool for horsepower. So it really depends what you want to do. If you're a guy that wants to drag race, it's probably a good option. If you want a daily driver that's super responsive, then maybe the stock turbo is for you. I'll pull up one more graph and how that compares to the high torque E85 file on the stock turbo. So that's quite an interesting graph to look at. So the blue line is the E85 file on the stock turbo compared to the PowerMax one on pump gas. So obviously there's this huge chunk here that's power under the curve that you'll definitely feel. But honestly, first and second gear and part of third was just useless. You know, the car made 450 foot-pounds of torque at 2,500 RPM. So it was entertaining to drive, but it's just burning rubber. Obviously a little bit of area here, so power under the curve, we've given up, but we've gained this bit here. So peak power is about 30 horsepower difference, but if we take it from peak power with the PowerMax to the same point with the stock turbo, it's a 60 horsepower difference. So pretty interesting. Curious to see what this turbo does on ethanol. I think it's going to be a bit of a monster. Been driving it for, I don't know, half of the week now. It's been raining, so I haven't been really able to go too crazy with doing lots of pulls and street logs, because obviously front wheel drive, it will wheel spin, so that's not very helpful. But from just general day-to-day driving, going to dropping the kid off at school and stuff, as I predicted, what I said on the dyno, that 1,000 RPM spool difference you really feel on the streets. Like the car feels very more subdued between 2,000 and 3,000 RPM. I personally think it's super noticeable, especially the way the cars are geared. So like they kind of drove like, I guess like a kind of torquey diesel before. Like they had that instant torque at 2,000 RPM and off you go. Good or bad, I think it's personal preference. It's really mellowed the car out, and depending on what the person's doing with the car, if they're circuit racing, it's actually probably quite helpful, because obviously it wheel spins way less. I was just showing J-Man, like it'll only kind of really spin at the sort of like when peak power comes in second gear, and third gear doesn't spin at all now, unless it's a little damp. So like if you're circuit racing, that would be really helpful, because you'd be able to really control the car coming out of corners. If you're drag racing, we'll see. The top end power's there, so it might make up the difference. For a daily driver, it's okay. I think you just kind of have to drive the car in manual mode mostly to get the most out of the power band. So it's neither good or bad. I think it's, you know, just personal preference. I like it, but I also like the punch that it gave before. So we'll see what it does on E85. I think that would probably make up for that a little bit of difference.